Yeah, we're excited to be playing in Birmingham. When they announced first 2 rounds would be in Birmingham, we knew we'd, have to play well to be able to get to choose our site. The players have done a great job putting together a good season so we could play close to Tuscaloosa so our fans can come support us. So we're excited, first time in program history to be number 1 seed. Excited to come in and try to win a couple games here in Birmingham. We watched the Corpus Christi game last night. They're a good team. It's been done before that a 16s beat a 1. Our players are well aware of that. As a coach, I've been on the other side of this, not a 16-1, but we were a 14 seed playing a 3 seed when I was at Buffalo against Arizona, and they were loaded at the time. So I kind of shared my experience being the lower seeded team coming in, what they're going to be thinking. My assistant Charlie, who just got the job at Georgia Southern, so congrats to him. He's done an unbelievable job for us in 4 years, but he was an assistant at Iowa State when they were in a 3-14 game and got upset. So we've had experiences on both sides that we share with these guys. We just finished practice. I think our guys are ready to go. I think we'll be locked in, focused on the scouting report. When the stage gets bigger, the focus on the smaller details becomes much more important, and that's what we've been trying to get our guys to think about, realize, just focus on the little details. They've been doing a good job of that. So we're excited to get the tournament started tomorrow and see where it goes from there.
Okay, raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. We'll just start 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, hey, Coach. Probably should have asked this after the game on Sunday, but we didn't see Namari or Dom. Do you have an update on them? Is that just a decision on your part?
Listen, that was a deal where, we're trying to – it's hard to play 11 guys in every game. We kind of went with the guys that playing well. Stuff started out great. We just kind of rolled with the guys that were playing well at the time. They're both 100% healthy. Thought Namari's had 2 great practices. Would anticipate seeing him early tomorrow based on his last 2 practices and how focused he's been in video sessions and everything. I think Dom's playing really hard, and we'll play him as needed, but there's nothing wrong with either one of them. It's kind of one of those deals where Noah Gurley didn't play in 2 out of our last 4 regular season games, and he averaged 20-plus minutes in the SEC tournament and played really well for us because we've got a really good culture of guys staying engaged and focused and keeping their attitudes right and being ready to play. So I thought Namari's attitude on the bench was unbelievable. Dom's has been great all year. Noah Gurley's been great. So I would anticipate those guys playing.
You mentioned the UMBC Virginia game. Just how did you bring it up with your players? How much did you bring it up? And how do you think this team, going back to November, December, has handled playing some opponents that might not be, the bigger names?
I think we've done well. We have never come out and not taken those opponents seriously. You think about one of our better non-conference opponents was Liberty. I thought our guys came out and played really well, really focused on the scouting report that game. But we haven't talked in depth with the Virginia deal. We just mentioned it. It's happened before. Don't think because you're a 1 seed, you're guaranteed to get out of the first round. It's not guaranteed. It's happened already. Let's be aware of the fact that this team's, they're number 1 in their league in offense and defensive efficiency both. They're a good team. They play really hard. They've got good players. So they're a well-coached team. Coach Lutz, I've known Coach Lutz. I'm good friends with Coach McDermott at Creighton. He coached under McDermott. I've known him for a while. He does an unbelievable job, and they've got this program headed in the right direction. So we just made our players aware of the fact it's been done before, just to kind of heighten their attention to detail, if that makes sense.
Very back, and please remember to state your name and affiliation.
Jake Stansel, WBRC here in Birmingham. Coach, of all the teams you've had in the NCAA tournament, do you feel like this year's team is one of the best teams you've had poised to make a deep run in the tournament?
Yeah, I do. I think we've got a maturity about us, a camaraderie, a cohesiveness. The chemistry is great. there's literally nobody jealous about anybody else on this team, which is rare at this level, and the talent level's high. So, the more you guys get to know our group, I think the more you're going to love them, because they really are truly, genuinely concerned about their teammates, and they love each other. So, the group we had 2 years ago I thought was prime too, but we shot 12 of 25 at the free throw line against UCLA and lost in overtime. So, we win that game, who knows what happens from there. So we had a pretty good group 2 years ago. This group's similar, but they're definitely different. We're younger, but I don't think youth means immature. We've got a lot of younger, mature guys. Noah Clowney, Brandon Miller, Jaden Bradley, Rylan. All four of those freshmen are really mature, and I like the maturity of this group. And like I said, just the chemistry of this group's really, really tight and really close.
Right here to your left.
Right here.
Right here.
John Zeno,
Sorry,
Associated
sorry,
Press.
sorry.
That's all right. We all talk about you guys being so close to home and being able to pack the arena with your fans. Is that an even bigger deal given some of the treatment y'all have received in the last from other arenas around the SEC the last couple months?
Look, it's always nice to play in front of your own fans. I think it gives you a little extra energy. This isn't technically a home game, but I sure hope that Legacy's packed out like a home game, and it's been nice to play in front of our own fans and in front of some friendly fans in Coleman. So I hope we've got a similar treatment here at Legacy.
And Nate, Dan Wolken, USA Today. A few minutes ago, I noticed something that I've never seen before in 20 years of doing this, which was an armed security guard accompanying Brandon to the podium. I was just curious what the thinking is behind that, and how often do you have security with him right now, and when did it start?
If you guys saw some of what I've seen sent his way, I think you'd understand why that's the case, and I don't want to get into all that. It's the entire situation, as you know, is it's just a heartbreaking situation on all accounts. But some of the messages from people that can sit behind fake email addresses, but who knows whether they're real or not, that I've seen, something that nobody would ever want their son. And I treat my players like my own sons. I don't have a son. I have 3 daughters, but I put myself in his parents' shoes, and our administration's seen the stuff that I've seen, and it's appropriate. It's nothing a college kid should have to go through. So I think if you were able to see what I've seen, you'd understand why that's going on right now.
Ryan Hennessy, NBC 13 in Birmingham. Coach, a year ago in San Diego, we had JQ went down with a knee injury. I just talked to Lyle Kane this morning. He said 6 months is not normal for a comeback. What does that show, the things behind closed doors that people didn't see with the recovery? And he's clicking right now at the right time, it seems like.
Look, Dr. Kane's one of the best in the business. We're fortunate to have, in my opinion, the best sports doctors in the country right here in Birmingham that are our team doctors. So, with the help of Lyle Kane, our trainer Clark Coulter, we got a new strength coach this year, Henry Barrera, all those guys, the team of people that helped him come back. And then the most important thing is Javon's will to recover himself. He worked his tail off. I saw him on the side. He worked hard. And then he was willing to come back when maybe his game wasn't perfect. Some guys would have continued to sit out until they felt, no, he came back, wanted to jump back in with this group. And I've talked about how tight-knit and close and the chemistry with this group, how it's been. He wanted to come in and help his teammates. And then also the quicker he was able to get on the floor, the more he could kind of get the rust. You can only get the rust knocked off so much in practice. So when he came for that South Alabama game and he was cleared and ready to go, and we kind of got up large enough, like, JQ, you want to get some minutes into the game? He's like, yeah, let's do it. So I thought that was pretty cool. We got him in that quick. Now, you see how well he's playing now. I don't know if he's playing as well now as he is if we didn't get him started when we did, because he went through some slumps. I mean, you got to, in your mind, if you're coming back from an injury, you've got to be able to fight through the fact that, it's going to take a little bit to get more comfortable. So he went up, came down. He's on an upward trajectory right now with his play, and it's needed because we needed. He was great. I thought he was maybe the best player on the floor against A&M. Did an unbelievable job defensively against Wade Taylor, who's one of the best guards in our league, one of the better guards in the country, and then he was good on the offensive side of the ball too in that game.
Nate Kelly, Tuscaloosa News. Nate, you mentioned Tuesday not knowing your opponent for that practice. Just you guys were going to work on yourselves a little bit. What were some of those points of emphasis, or what were kind of things that you guys coming into these games are focusing on?
You know what? I think on offense, when the ball's moving, we're better. We want to make sure the ball's moving. We call it our 0.5 game. Once we force an advantage, the first guy to touch the ball out of the advantage has a half a second to make his decision whether he's going to shoot, drive, or make the next pass. And that next guy's got 0.5 to do that. We want the ball popping. So we worked on that. We got some shooting drills, some advantage drills to work on that. Defensively, we worked on getting some individual defense back down. Your team defense is always best when your individual defense at its highest level. So we have some drills we worked on with that, and then we worked a little bit in transition. When you're playing, when your practices only come the day after a game or the day before a game, you don't want to get up and down the floor a whole lot. So we were able to get up and down the floor and work, make sure our transition's tight. We play in transition a lot, but some games we've been less efficient than others, so we tried to work on a little bit of that. And that's really about it, because we didn't want to go too long. We want to make sure their legs are fresh because we got to play 2 games in 3 days. And we need to make sure that they're fresh for both those games, provided we get by the first game.
Up front.
Yeah, Tony Reese, WTVM Sports 9 out of Columbus, Georgia. Coach, talk about the success your team has had this season, just kind of knowing that you're the number 1 team, ultimately the team to beat in this tournament. Kind of how do you block out the outside noise, and really what's been the motivation game in and game out to try to make a deep run?
Yeah, our guys have been really mature about kind of focusing on the task at hand. So, how do you play well tomorrow? Well, you practice great today. Well, how do you make sure you practice great today? You make sure your mind's where your feet are at. So our video session last night, our guys were great. A lot of guys stayed on and studied a lot more video on their own last night because they had great questions during our video session this morning. Our video session this morning, they had a lot of good our coaches bring stuff. We're open enough. Like, if you players got points you want to make, ideas you've got, bring them. We're the coaches are here to help you guys get better and make you the best you can be. And I think it's that mentality of, we're all in this together. We're trying to get to be the best we can be, and let's just make sure we're all focused and have a great practice. I thought we had a really good practice today. We only went an hour. We're going to get 40 minutes to shoot, so we want to make sure they're fresh. But I think great practices, great video sessions lead to playing well, and I think our guys have done that all year.
Last question right here.
Curious at WVTM. Nate, we've talked a lot this season, but you know the intangibles from a team. You know when you have a basketball IQ, you know when you have talent. But I know you've wanted to create a winning culture. At what point in the season do you see that come to fruition for a team? And also, how much of that is encouragement from the coaching staff or just the guys that you have in the locker room?
You know what? Quick story to kind of talk about that. I think, we had the foreign trip this summer, so that helped everybody kind of get tighter, closer. They're over in Europe, in non-English speaking countries, hanging out. So I thought we developed a pretty good bond through the summer. And then the rules in Division I are you get 2, either scrimmage, exhibition, whatever, before you play real games. Well, we had a close scrimmage at TCU to open up our first. We won the 3 games over in Europe, so everybody's feeling good. And everybody's got great culture in the summer from what I think. Well, the first time we played somebody else, I think we were down 30 at the half at TCU. We had a lot of freshmen, a lot of new players. I think over 75% of our scoring this year is coming from newcomers. So first time we played somebody, and TCU had, I think, the most production back maybe of any high major team in the country. So it was a great scrimmage to get. That was part of the plan. I didn't plan on losing the half by 30, but we did. Then the second half went a little better. Brandon kind of asserted himself, and we're not going to get drilled like we did in the first half. So he was better, but we still lost it. So we got back, nothing to do with the coaches, completely the players. They had a players-only meeting the next day. Noah Gurley, Javon Quinterly, some of the guys that have been around, like, this is not what we envisioned. This is not what we said we're going to be about. This is not who we are. I don't know what was said in the meeting, but at that point, I knew the culture was headed there. Now, we hadn't won a game. We just got drilled. But I knew we were about the right stuff because the next practices completely flipped. Then we had our next exhibition game against Southern Illinois, who's a good team, and we played much better. We came out in the first game and looked completely different than we had in that close scrimmage. Then maybe the next one, after we played here, we only played in Birmingham once this year. It was against Gonzaga, and we weren't very good. It turned into an offensive shootout. There was no defense being played on our side. We got back from that game. We lost the game. I kind of asked the players, like, what happened? Just said we didn't do what we needed to on the defensive end. I said, so when we're playing defense, the offense a lot of times takes care of itself. We're one of the best teams in the country. When we forget about playing defense, we're a really average team. So they kind of admitted to me exactly what I would have told them, but it's a lot better when you ask them and they come up with it themselves. So, and really some of our freshmen were saying that. So when we lost to Gonzaga, sometimes you need a wake-up call. We kind of got ourselves woke up, and then the loss at Oklahoma was another one. So we haven't had many losses, but I felt like the response after every one, and just us getting better at the stuff we weren't good at in those losses, and we fixed it, and let's make sure it doesn't rear up again. I think we've done a pretty good job of that. So, that's a couple of the stories I'd have for you on the question you asked. So appreciate you guys' time. Thanks. Roll Tide.